Our next session this afternoon is Rebuilding for the Future, Workforce Resilience in the Gulf Coast. Please welcome to the Horizon stage Rachel Wolf, reporter for the Wall Street Journal, Lauren Alexandra Augustine, Executive Director for the Gulf Research Program at the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, and Andy Copland, CEO and President of the Greater New Orleans Foundation.
Hey, Andy and Lauren, how's it going?
All right, Rachel, you?
Good to see you.
Doing well. So as a New Orleanian myself, it's obviously very important where we are right now. New Orleans' economy is unique in so many ways, both because of how we have been shaped by natural disasters, how tourism dependent we are, and just the pride of place that we all have here and that visitors come for. And so today, we'll be talking a little bit about some of the challenges that are unique to New Orleans and Louisiana, including the fact that we won the unfortunate record this year for having the biggest population decline out of any metro area. So I'm definitely going to want both of your thoughts on that, and just some of the other really exciting things that are actually happening here and some of the opportunities that we have as a place that is constantly reinventing itself. And how I want to start the conversation is by talking about how we are coming up on the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. Not long ago, we were rocked by Ida. We all know that there is not only a possibility, but a probability of more disasters to come. I'm curious how that is affecting the city and the state's approach to workforce, both in training the future workforce, in attracting educated workers here, and just how it's really shaping the economy and workers today and will into the future.
Ladies first.
Well, yes, we are coming up on the 20th anniversary of Katrina, and as you pointed out, it's not a singular commemoration. There was an oil spill in 2010, Ida, Idalia, one thing after another. And when you look at this area of the country, we see that most of the disaster losses, like 11% of the disaster losses in the country, are from this city and the immediate parishes. 11%. There's 50 states. This is one city. So here, as we look back 20 years, there's so much we've learned about how hurricanes form, and from climate change, how we are now dealing with rapidly accelerating hurricanes, which is a different beast altogether. So we want to bring science in to help decision makers be able to prepare and ensure that this area not just survives those kind of events, but can continue to thrive when you consider navigation, fishing, recreation, tourism, all here. We need this, oil and gas, I left that one out. You know, we need this area to remain vibrant and robust, not just for Louisiana, but for the country and actually the world.
And so, Andy, how does that inform the way that we're preparing our future workers and our economy for this inevitability?
Right. I mean, I think one of the lessons of Katrina is that we always wanted the people of New Orleans to be able to be the ones who would rebuild the city. And in the initial days after the storm, when our entire population was relocated all around the country, folks were taking care of their families in Salt Lake City or in Memphis or in Atlanta. And so we had an inpouring of workers, lots of Latin American workers who rebuilt the city, and we're grateful for that. But so many New Orleanians were worried about their own families while being displaced that they weren't actually able in the first year or two to be part of that resurgence. What we're trying to make sure is that we build what we think can be the most resilient coastal city in our country, is that it's the people of New Orleans who actually are trained and employed to rebuild our city and to make it more resilient. So the stormwater parks that manage the water ruse, the flooding and the subsidence, the major coastal restoration programs where we're building large Mississippi River diversions to rebuild our coast to protect us from hurricanes, We're putting more solar on roofs so we can make sure that we're more resilient to grid power outages. All of those things create an opportunity for us to, A, be more resilient as a community. We know the storms are coming, and we know that we can survive them if we build appropriately. But we also want to make sure that the people of our city have the chance to get connected and trained for those jobs.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the population loss the city has seen, though. So basically what happened, for those who are not following the history of Louisiana's population as closely as I have had to in my work, after Katrina, the population dipped considerably. It started to come back up, but has since stalled out, and then even more recently gone down again, more than any other metro area in the country. This is seen throughout Louisiana, but is especially pronounced in the South, and only a couple of counties in Louisiana, or parishes as we call them, have actually seen population increase. At the same time, other places in the South are booming. The Southeast economy has done so well since COVID, and so there's a real question of why has New Orleans and other areas in Louisiana missed out on this. And I'm curious, what the opportunity is here in the context of the environment and just the broader economic climate to reverse that decline and really start attracting the workers that we need, the people we need to keep the city and the state vibrant.
Yeah, so New Orleans has always been based on trade. That's why we were located here 300 years ago. It wasn't that we were the least swampy place. It was we were the driest place closest to the mouth of the Mississippi that was a place for commerce for the entire country.
Just swampy enough.
Yeah, and just swampy enough. And so we've been fighting floods ever since then. But trade has always been our primary industry, and it still is one of our most prominent industries. Tourism has been the booming industry in terms of the amount of employment for the last 5 decades. But of course, those wages aren't as strong as in other industries. So we're working really hard to diversify into tech, into biosciences, with our medical schools and our universities, building a biosciences district, and trying to make sure that we're bringing more manufacturing back to New Orleans. It is a challenge for our city, but I think the reason you all are here is because we've got the greatest quality of life around anywhere. And if people come to New Orleans, if they can start businesses here, if they can work remotely here, and then if we can build those industries that support the port, support tourism, and build, industries that are less extractive and more investing for our folks. So if you think about the musicians that are playing, we haven't built the music industry that Nashville has, but we've got the greatest musicians in the world, and we've got to figure out how to capitalize on all of those parts of the economy to make sure that we're making money while making music.
I would say Thomas Jefferson had the Louisiana Purchase, and he didn't buy that land so we would have Nebraska. No offense to the Nebraskans in the audience, right? He bought that land, brokered that deal with the French, so we would have the mouth of the Mississippi for trade, for national security. They didn't know about the oil and gas. They didn't know, but they did know about fishing. They knew all of that. And so when we look at what happens in here, and I would also say in the Gulf Coast, and we work from Texas all the way to Florida, the Gulf Coast overall is growing in population. It's just highly uneven. Houston's big, Louisiana's now losing, but it'll come back. It's an ebb and flow system for sure. And so when we kind of think out, there's all these different economies. Annie mentioned the music. We know oil and gas. We know navigation. We know fish. By the way, eat Gulf shrimp. But we also know that disasters themselves are an economy. And when you think about 25 billion with a B for Houston after Harvey, 259 billion after Hurricane Katrina, there's a lot of economy around disasters. And one of the things that I'm excited about in working here and working with Andy is we're trying to build that next generation of workforce to be able to work in that as an economy as well.
So let's talk about
Yes.
the youth in New Orleans for a second.
Let's talk about
I was
that.
just excited to see that our school system has improved tremendously since Katrina. Actually, it was a controversial step to move most of the schools into the charter system, but it seems to have paid off, at least as far as test scores, reading skills, math skills are concerned. We have a lot of really exciting youth programs here. It also just seems like such a fun place to be a kid. I mean, I didn't grow up in New Orleans, but Andy, did you grow up here?
I did not.
All right, well,
But I'm a New Orleanian by choice.
Yeah. But we really are a child-focused city. It really is a place where there are all of these opportunities to do cool things. I think about Grodat Youth Farm, which is a program that teaches underprivileged kids how to work the land for money and fulfillment. And we have all sorts of, I mean, like many cities, but I think there are things that we're really doing that are unique to New Orleans, and I would love to hear more about them from both of you and what other cities can learn from our approach.
I mean, I think Grodat is a great example.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things that that folks saw when Hurricane Katrina hit was that just like other American cities, we had deep inequities, right? And it caused us all to pay attention. And the question is, what are we not doing in New Orleans that we needed to be doing all along to invest in the people who are here, right? And so it starts with young people who have the opportunity to get the skills they need, the leadership skills, so that they can be successful in the workforce. And so we also need, from an economic development perspective, to match our economic development strategies and our workforce strategies together so that as we're growing that economy, we're producing the workforce that those employers need. So that's why we're leading sector partnerships in construction and green infrastructure with the help of JFF, in healthcare, in maritime and trade. And the focus of all those programs, from young people at school age into young adults, opportunity youth, is making sure that we're connecting folks who have been left behind, who've been shut out, giving them access to the training they need, giving them access to the supports that they need to be successful, and giving those employers the trained workforce that they need to be able to grow. And our system was never structured like that to work. And that's the work that the Greater New Orleans Foundation is doing in partners with folks like the GRP, with JFF, and other funders to make sure that, again, the focus is on the people of New Orleans getting the skills they need. So our New Orleans Career Center provides great career and technical education. Youth Force NOLA, like Grodat, is focusing on our young people. We've got partnerships with Green Corps, which is, again, young adults working on getting their skills so that they can install solar roofs for some of our infrastructure projects. They can build stormwater resilient parks. Thrive New Orleans helps with our small businesses that are doing contracting for government on big projects. Groundwork NOLA, another training program that really is giving opportunity to folks who, again, are here. They're New Orleanians, they believe in their community, they've got the talent, but they haven't been connected to the jobs. When they're connected to the jobs, they're successful for themselves and their family, and our community and our businesses are successful as well. So that's our vision.
Lauren, what have you seen?
I would just add two really quick things. The Gulf Research Program, we had a 30-year run, right? And it'll go from 2013 to 2043. That's 30 years. And so we work with a lot of the K to 12 age groups, and we have some high school students. In case you guys don't know, it can get hot here in New Orleans, and we have a whole high school program where the kids are planting trees to create heat relief in a nature-based solution. And so when you get into the classrooms and you explain and you teach to young people why it's hot, you have an option, you have a little bit of control here, they really take that. And so one of the things as we work in different parts of all the communities, we want to get to the young people so that they can start asking questions, right? Like, why is it wet when it's not raining, Mommy? Well, funny you should, you know what I mean? And so we have that, and then the second part about the workforce is we're also in undergraduate programs. And so here in the Gulf region, here in New Orleans, it's not oil and gas or you drive a Tesla. It's not you live on the coast because you hunt or you're a conservationist. You're all of those things at once. And it's a very layered, integrated economy and culture, and we all enjoy that. And so we are teaching the undergrads how to design for that. How do you look at a changing coast, and you can bring in ways that people can live, continue to stay close to where their jobs are, close to where the water is, close to where their culture is, and still thrive. And so we're approaching this again in partnership with Ganoff and some others, but at that education level, K-12, undergraduate, and even graduate students. So we're taking it from we need all. Right. It's a big tent, right?
It is. And what Lauren always talks about is they're doing a lot of the science, and we're trying to figure out how to put the science into action.
That's right.
And so when you think about, like, New Orleans, we're built on mud. I mean, we literally are built on mud, and when you dry mud out, it's like a sponge, right? So we have subsidence. So we have two ways to work on flood reduction. One is we've got to have more water stored in the water table so that sponge doesn't dry out,
right,
and so we don't sink. The advantage of that is that the more water we store, the less flooding that we have in a heavy rainstorm, of which we're getting more and more of those rainstorms. After Hurricane Ida, I remember being down in South Louisiana inspecting storm damage, and there was this house in the middle of nowhere that was undamaged at all. So we said, what happened to that house? Well, it was new construction. It was built to fortified standards. And I thought to myself, look, we just built $2 billion worth of schools in New Orleans after Katrina. Not one of them sustained damage from Hurricane Ida.
Yeah.
That house didn't sustain damage. This is putting science into action. And again, having folks trained to build fortified roofs, to install solar panels on them, to build the kind of structures that we can use to thrive and survive is what this work is all about.
And you don't need a degree. You can know that a 1-inch nail is going to hold a roof much less tightly than a 1.5-inch nail, right? I mean, you don't need a 4-year degree for that. So there's a range of this workforce that we're looking at. Yeah.
So we started our session thinking 20 years back.
Yeah.
Now I would like us to think 20 years into the future and what we want to see for the Gulf South, for Louisiana. We haven't really talked about AI and all of the changes that are going to come with that. That's going to affect everywhere. I'm sure there will be unique impacts in Louisiana, but what do you hope to see in this region? How do you hope that we will be able to leverage a changing climate, withstand increasingly severe storm events, and make sure that young people and all people are equipped for a future that looks very different from the past?
I mean, I would say, and I'll give you the last word then, Andy, I would say that 20 years from now, we should continue to build on what we're learning. And when you look out, you have AI, you have all this machine learning, you have so much technology, you have a lot of data, you have a lot of incoming information. And so what I would like to see is to build up the capacity of everyday people, everyone who has a cell phone, everyone who goes somewhere every single day, to be able to use that data to help with biodiversity, to help with oil and gas, energy, security, and of course the disaster economy.
Yeah, and again, I think I said it a little bit at the beginning, but imagine New Orleans leading the country in resilient redevelopment.
Absolutely.
So our roofs are fortified, right? Our houses are elevated. Our folks are employed effectively, not just in construction, green infrastructure, not just in trade and maritime, not just in healthcare, but in advanced manufacturing, in the sciences, helping grow our regional economy, sustain their families. When we think about our protection, like, we have a levee system that the federal government and all of you helped us invest in, $15 billion worth of levee protection that didn't exist at the time of Katrina. We're building a coastal master plan that's $50 billion worth of additional marsh creation out on the coast. The people of New Orleans ought to build that, but when we build it, and we have the folks of New Orleans building it, we're going to have a more resilient community and a safer place to live. And we can show the country what that looks like. We'll have a community lighthouse, a church or a nonprofit within a 15-minute walk of every citizen in the city that they can go to. So if the power goes out like we had in Hurricane Ida, you could walk, get your phone charged, get your oxygen machine charged, get supplies, get what you need, because those things, when the lights go down, the community lighthouses light up. And we have 15 of them that we've helped fund here in New Orleans already. And the folks who are building those things are the people we are training in our workforce programs.
Thanks so much, Lauren and Andy. And thank you all so much. This has been so fun.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.